First Strike. The Galactic Alliance's third defense fleet hung in the void like a constellation of artificial stars. High Admiral Zextal of the Aetherian race stood aboard his flagship, the Eternal Dawn, his crystalline form reflecting the distant starlight as he studied the tactical display. The Krell Empire's invasion force would arrive any moment, and despite commanding the most advanced ships in known space, Zextal felt a creeping dread in his core. High Admiral, his second-in-command, Commander Era, called out. Multiple hyperspace signatures detected. Krell invasion fleet incoming. The elegant Aetherian commander's voice carried the weight of impending doom. The void erupted in brilliant flashes as hundreds of Krell warships tore through the fabric of space. Their biological vessels, resembling massive predatory creatures, immediately began launching swarms of fighter craft. The Krell had evolved from pack hunters, and their tactics reflected their nature: overwhelm, surround, destroy. All ships, battle formations, Zextal ordered. Concentrate fire on their lead vessels. Do not let them establish their hunting patterns. The Alliance fleet responded with precision, their energy weapons creating beautiful geometric patterns of destruction across space. But the Krell had not come unprepared. Their new phase shift technology allowed their ships to partially exist in multiple dimensions, making them frustratingly difficult to target. Alliance weapons that should have torn through hull plating instead passed harmlessly through phantom ships. "Sir, we're losing our outer defense line," Ira reported, her crystalline features tight with concern. "The Krell have adapted to our targeting algorithms faster than expected." Zextal watched as 3 of his cruisers succumbed to concentrated Krell fire. The enemy's biological ships literally consumed their victims, breaking them down for raw materials to repair their own damage. It was a horrifying but effective strategy. "Fall back to secondary positions," he ordered. "We need tow." "High Admiral." The sensor officer's voice cut through the command center. "Unknown spatial distortion detected. Massive energy signature. Nothing like our records show." The space between the opposing fleets suddenly twisted, reality itself seeming to protest as something massive forced its way through. The arrival point wasn't smooth like Alliance or Krell hyperspace technology. This was raw, violent, and impossibly powerful. What emerged made both Alliance and Krell forces pause in shock. The vessel was unlike anything in known space. Angular, utilitarian, bristling with what were clearly weapon systems, but in configurations no one recognized. Its hull was dark gray, marked with stark white letters. UEAS THUNDRCH. "What manner of ship is that?" Ira whispered. Before anyone could respond, the unknown vessel broadcast on all frequencies, using standard Alliance communication protocols, but with an unfamiliar accent. "This is Captain Sarah Chen of the United Earth ship Thunderchild, to all vessels. We received the Alliance's distress call. We're here to help." Zextal's sensor crystal pulsed in shock. Humans, the primitive species from the isolated system that had only achieved faster-than-light travel a few decades ago. How had they built something like this? The Krell, recovering from their surprise, launched a massive fighter wave at the newcomer. Surely this single ship, regardless of its origin, would be overwhelmed by hundreds of biofighters. What happened next would change the course of galactic warfare forever. The Thunderchild's hull erupted with what at first appeared to be primitive projectile weapons, but these were like no ballistic weapons anyone had seen. Streams of tungsten flechettes accelerated to relativistic speeds, created literal walls of death, shredding through the Krell's dimensional phase shifting as if it didn't exist. Simple kinetic energy, it seemed, cared nothing for exotic dimensional physics. "Impossible," Ira breathed. "Their targeting systems must be. But they haven't had time to analyze Krell evasion patterns." "They're not using targeting systems," Zextal realized, watching the tactical display with growing amazement. "Those are manually controlled weapons. They're tracking targets visually and adjusting fire by human hand-eye coordination." The Thunderchild moved like no other capital ship, executing maneuvers that should have torn it apart. Instead of the elegant energy shields used by both Alliance and Krell ships, it appeared to be absorbing hits with raw armor plating. Primitive, but effectively rendering the Krell's phase-shifted weapons far less effective. All Alliance vessels, Zextal broadcast, his tactical mind already adapting to this new reality. Form up around the human ship, match their targeting solutions. They found a way through Krell defenses. Now let's make it count. As his fleet moved to support their unexpected allies, Zextal watched the tactical display with a mixture of hope and disbelief. The galaxy was about to learn that primitive did not mean ineffective, and humanity had just announced its presence in galactic affairs with thunderous authority. The human factor. Captain Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the Thunderchild, her dark eyes focused on the tactical display as she coordinated her crew's efforts. The Alliance ships were finally adapting to her tactics, their more advanced weapons now being employed in ways their designers had never intended. Engineering reports kinetic batteries at 60%, Captain. Lieutenant Commander James Rodriguez reported from his station. We're burning through ammunition faster than projected. Noted, Chen responded, her voice calm despite the chaos around them. Tell engineering to prioritize reloading the port batteries. The Krell are favoring attacks from that vector. She allowed herself a small smile. They still haven't figured out we can see through their phase shifting by tracking their gravitational footprint. The Thunderchild had been built with one primary principle in mind. Keep it simple, keep it working. While other species had pursued ever more exotic technologies, humanity had taken their comparatively primitive tools and refined them to perfection. Railguns, nuclear-powered engines, armor plating measured in meters. It wasn't elegant, but it was devastating. The Alliance fleet was learning quickly. Their energy weapons now fired in seemingly random patterns that somehow matched perfectly with the Thunderchild's kinetic barrages, creating killing zones that no Krell ship could navigate safely. Ma'am, incoming transmission from the Alliance flagship. Communications Officer Maya Patel reported. They're requesting tactical coordination. Chen nodded. Put them through. And someone get me a damage report on their command ship. They're favoring their starboard side. The holographic image of High Admiral Zextal appeared, his crystalline form glittering with internal light. Captain Chen, your intervention has been most unexpected. But I must ask, how are you targeting the Krell so effectively? Our most advanced systems struggle to maintain lock. Simple physics, Admiral, Chen replied while gesturing for her crew to continue their work. Your sensors are trying to track their phase-shifted mass. We're tracking the gravitational distortion their actual mass creates in real space. They can't hide that, no matter how many dimensions they slip between. There was a pause as the alien commander processed this. You're using gravity sensors, but those are incredibly imprecise for combat applications. They are, Chen agreed. Unless you have a human brain processing the input, we evolved to interpret gravity. It's how we stay upright while walking. Our targeting officers are basically feeling where the Krell ships are. The battle continued to rage around them as Zextal absorbed this information. The Krell had adapted their swarm tactics, now focusing on overwhelming individual Alliance ships with concentrated fire. But every time they clustered their forces, the Thunderchild's relativistic cannons would tear through their formation, forcing them to disperse. We can coordinate our attacks, Chen offered. Your energy weapons are far more powerful than our kinetics, if you time your shots to follow our targeting solutions. Yes, Zextal's crystal form pulsed with renewed energy. Yes, we can work with this. Commander Ira, transmit our tactical feeds to the human vessel. The battle was about to enter a new phase. Breaking point. The Krell Empire had not dominated a quarter of known space by being inflexible. As the combined human Alliance fleet continued to exact a heavy toll on their forces, the massive bioorganic ship at the center of their formation began to change. Captain, Rodriguez called out, his voice tense. That mothership is doing something we haven't seen before. Energy readings are off the scale. Chen studied the tactical display, noting how the smaller Krell ships were pulling back, creating a clear zone around their flagship. "Get me the Alliance command channel." "Admiral, are you seeing this?" Indeed, Zextal's response was grim. "They're deploying a quantum resonance cascade. It will tear apart any ship with active energy shielding in a 10 light-second radius." "But the Thunderchild doesn't use energy shields," Chen mused, her mind racing. "We rely on ablative armor and kinetic dampeners." "Captain," Zextal's tone was urgent, "you cannot be considering. Even if your ship survives the initial cascade, you would be alone against their entire remaining fleet." Chen's lips curved into a slight smile. "Admiral, I'm going to share a bit of human military history with you. Ever heard of the Battle of Trafalgar?" Without waiting for a response, she turned to her crew. "All hands, battle stations, engineering. Divert all power to the main drive and forward batteries. Navigation, plot me a course directly through their formation. Let's show them why humanity named our first interstellar warship after a destroyer that went down fighting." The Thunderchild's massive engines flared to life, pushing the warship forward with brutal acceleration. Around them, Alliance vessels pulled back, their crews watching in a mixture of horror and fascination as the human ship charged directly toward the heart of the Krell fleet. "Quantum cascade initiating," Rodriguez reported, wavefront expanding. Now, the space around them lit up like a new sun as the Krell weapon discharged. Alliance ships retreated to safe distances, their energy shields powered down to avoid destruction. The Krell fleet waited, confident that no ship could survive in the weaponized chaos they had created. The Thunderchild plowed through it all, its thick armor blackened but holding. Inside the ship, crews worked in darkness as every scrap of power was diverted to engines and weapons. They had trained for this, practiced fighting with minimal systems, relied on human intuition over computer assistance. "Multiple Krell vessels on intercept," Tactical reported. "They're trying to swarm us." "Let them come," Chen ordered, her voice steady. "All batteries, fire at will. Show them why humanity never gave up on kinetic weapons. Trust and steel." The Krell had never encountered an enemy that could ignore their quantum cascade. Their formations, perfected over centuries of combat, were based on the assumption that no enemy could close to physical weapon range. Now they faced a vessel that not only could close that distance, but seemed designed specifically to wreak havoc in close-quarters combat. The Thunderchild's relativistic cannons fired continuously, each shot a precisely calculated trajectory that took advantage of the Krell's own movement patterns. Where Alliance energy weapons could be phased through, there was no avoiding the physical impact of tungsten rods moving at appreciable percentages of light speed. "Hull breach on Deck C," Rodriguez called out. "Emergency teams responding. Armor integrity at 60% and falling." Chen nodded, watching as another Krell cruiser died under her ship's guns. Status of their mothership. "They're attempting to power up a second cascade, but the energy buildup is slower. Our attacks are disrupting their bioorganic systems." "Captain," communications cut in. "Alliance fleet is reporting ready to re-engage. Admiral Zextal is requesting coordinates for targeted strikes." Chen studied the tactical display, noting how the Krell ships were now moving in increasingly erratic patterns. They were used to fighting in perfect coordination, their group mind linking them in combat. But the Thunderchild had forced them to fight as individuals, and they were struggling to adapt. "Send targeting solutions to the Alliance fleet," she ordered. "Tell them to hit anything that's maintaining formation with their flagship. Time to split their pack." The Alliance ships surged forward, their energy weapons now firing in seemingly random patterns that perfectly complemented the Thunderchild's attack vectors. The Krell, trying to maintain their defensive screen around their mothership, while also dealing with the human vessel in their midst, began to break formation. Victory's price. The final phase of the battle would be remembered in Alliance histories as the moment everything changed. Not just the outcome of this engagement, but the entire understanding of warfare in the galaxy. The Thunderchild, Its hull, scared and bleeding atmosphere from multiple breaches, had positioned itself directly beneath the Krell mothership. Alliance vessels maintained a precise formation around the battlefield, their weapons ready but holding fire as they waited for the human captain's signal. All hands. Chen's voice echoed through the ship's corridors. What we're about to do, there's no guarantee we'll survive it. But today we prove that humanity belongs among the stars. Not because we have the most advanced technology, but because we never stop trying, never stop fighting, never stop believing we can win. She turned to Rodriguez. Status of the main gun. Modified and ready, Captain. Engineering says we'll only get one shot before the barrel melts. Chen nodded. They had stripped safeguards from the ship's primary railgun, pushed its power systems far beyond design tolerances. The weapon would destroy itself with this shot, and possibly take the Thunderchild with it. But if it worked, all Alliance vessels, she broadcast. Fire on my mark. Target the coordinates we're sending now. Timing must be perfect. The Krell mothership loomed above them, its bioorganic hull pulsing with energy as it prepared another quantum cascade. They had never faced a defeat like this, never needed to adapt their tactics so drastically. But they were learning, evolving their strategy in real time. They weren't going to get the chance to use that knowledge. For Earth, Chen whispered, then raised her voice. Fire. The Thunderchild's main gun fired its final shot, a specially modified round, carrying a payload that would have been considered insane by any other spacefaring race. As the round struck the Krell ship's hull, precisely targeted Alliance energy weapons hit the same spot from multiple angles. The round's payload, a small quantity of antimatter, contained in a magnetic bottle powered by the round itself. When the round was destroyed by impact, the containment failed. The resulting explosion ripped through the Krell mothership's phase-shifted defenses as if they didn't exist. The ship's bioorganic hull, trying to adapt to the damage, was torn apart by the pure energy release. Secondary explosions cascaded through its structure as power systems overloaded. All vessels, clear the blast radius. Chen ordered as the Thunderchild's engines pushed it away from the dying Leviathan. Brace for spatial distortion. The Krell mothership's death throes sent ripples through local spacetime, its quantum technologies reacting violently with the antimatter explosion. When the chaos cleared, the remaining Krell ships were in full retreat, their group mind leadership destroyed, their tactical advantage nullified. The Alliance fleet regrouped around the Thunderchild, which drifted in space, its weapons silent, its hull glowing dull red from the heat of battle. Inside, emergency teams worked to contain damage, save lives, and keep the ship intact. On the bridge, Chen accepted a transmission from Admiral Zextal. The crystalline alien's form seemed to shine brighter than before as he addressed her. Captain Chen, he began, today you have shown us something we had forgotten. That true strength lies not in the advancement of our technology, but in the spirit of those who wield it. Humanity will have a place of honor in the Alliance, if you wish it. Chen looked around her bridge, at her crew, bloodied, exhausted, but proud. Admiral, we would be honored. But first, let's make sure those Krell don't come back. I have some ideas about upgrading your fleet's weapons. The battle was over, but humanity's journey to the stars was just beginning.